Mr. Adrian Curry, it's such a pleasure to spend some time with you today.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for allowing me to be here.
Now, you are the founder and leader of the Art Leadership Center. Tell us about that.
Well, I have to do my spiel whenever anyone asks, right? The Art Leadership Center is designed to systematically develop Renaissance scholars and artists with a global conscience that embody 5 wells of leadership: well-read, well-spoken, well-dressed, well-traveled, and well-balanced. And you've heard me say this, welcome to the house.
I love what you're doing in our community and how you're serving our community. You are the torchbearer for our community's Juneteenth celebration. And we want to ask you about that. But for those who may not be as familiar with Juneteenth, what is Juneteenth and why is it important?
The Emancipation Proclamation was signed by Abraham Lincoln in 1863, freeing the enslaved peoples. But it wasn't until 1865 that the enslaved people in Galveston, Texas actually found out that slavery was over and that they could leave the plantation. And so that is ultimately what is being celebrated, the fact that we can leave the plantation. Juneteenth is about celebrating ourselves, educating ourselves, and organizing ourselves. And so we take that opportunity each year. The federal holiday is June 19th, but I must say that culturally, Juneteenth has always been celebrated the 3rd Saturday of June. And the concept of Juneteenth was always that we didn't know the day, which is why it's called Juneteenth.
Tell us about the rich local history of Juneteenth and the celebration.
I have to pay homage to those that come before me. It's really important. Even if they didn't directly celebrate Juneteenth, they were bringing about awareness to our culture and our history through Kwanzaa celebrations in the early 90s, the Pontiac Street Block Party, as well as the Harambe Festival. And then you have Mr. Eric Hackley, who would put on block parties for Juneteenth. Chief Condra Ridley would teach and have programs educating. The Al-Kibalan Institute, they were big on Kwanzaa. They were very much so teaching our culture and history. When it really became an outward celebration at the Weiser Park Youth Center, implemented by Kwaku Akan. And 2009, Baba Kwaku Akan, he ends up leaving Weiser Park. But Miss Annette Page became the supervisor, and she maintained it from 2009 until 2019. COVID-19 comes 2020, but Black Lives Matter was happening simultaneously. And so while Weiser Park says, hey, we don't want to celebrate Juneteenth this year due to COVID-19, the community at large says, where's Juneteenth? We're looking for culture. We want to be a part now. Miss Annette Page and I have been having a conversation about passing it over to the Art Leadership Center. So long story short, she supported me in doing that. And when this happened, she says, you know what, Mr. Curry, you really need to contact these people and let them know that this is about unity and that we want to keep the people together and we don't want to play tug of war with the people. So this, what takes place in 2020 is 6 to 7 organizations put on Juneteenth events. Whether or not they understood the true history, they wanted to support African Americans in our so-called struggle. Now, 2021 was huge. I said, we need to build on where we left off last year. I contacted those people that put on events back in 2020. I called the people from 2004 and out, and many of them were elders, and I said, hey, we're getting ready to come together, do Juneteenth. I need you involved. And so long story short, we have a council of elders along with the youth that are more or less in my generation that are spearheading these events. We decided when we came together that we would have a unified Juneteenth celebration and it would be 7 days. And we became the Juneteenth Collaborative. Within 2 weeks, we had 30 to 35 organizations and 70 members.
Gosh, that's so wonderful to hear how you are bringing so many people together in this celebration. And this year, you've shared with me that you are growing from a 3-day celebration to a 7-day celebration under the banner of the Macknificent Freedom Fest. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. Well, yeah. So last year we had 7 events with the Elders Jubilee, sowing seeds under the tent. And the big day was the Freedom Day celebration. The celebration had been held with Fort Wayne Parks and Recreation. And with us transitioning from Weiser Park to Macmillan Park, I said, oh, wow, we're at Mack Park next to the Mack Fest with Mr. Austin Mack. My grandmother, Costella Mack, some people call her Cozy Mack, it was proclaimed December 17, 2020, Costella Mack Day. And I said, you know what? We're going to give out the Cozy Mack Award every year at Juneteenth to honor her outstanding service that she did, not only for all the community centers on the Southeast, but all the work that she put in for Juneteenth. Then I said, I'm giving out the Cozy Mack Award. What's the coincidence of 3 Macks in a row, right? And so Mr. Mack, he gave me a phone call and he said, Mr. Curry, I want to join forces. I thought to myself, what's my job? To connect leaders and organizations. If they had something already, bring it together. With Juneteenth, with it being federalized, it takes the celebration out of the hands of the people, out of the hands of the cultural community that really cherishes the event. And so it was truly important for us to have that ownership, to represent the people and to honor the concept of Mac. We said, this should be called the Macknificent Freedom Fest. And actually, Miss Camille Curry came up with that idea. She said it represents the people. It honors the event that he already has set forth. And he's a young man that wants to do great things in the community. How do we empower someone that wants to do that? And how do we keep tradition and honor those that come before us? And so it's the Macknificent Freedom Fest. It ties all of it together.
Such a beautiful concept and brand for this expanded event. What can people expect when they go?
There's so much going on. On that Saturday, June 18th, some of the major highlights are the ALC Promenade down Oxford Street, where the most brick and mortar Black-owned businesses are, until we get to McMillan Park. There'll be a opening ceremony, the singing of the Black National Anthem, a pouring of libations, and a call and response. This what kind of brings in the cultural aspects of Juneteenth, and announce the tip-off for the All-Star game, a Rucker Park-style All-Star game with all the top high school basketball players in the city competing, boys and girls. We will have a kickball tournament, a family kickball tournament, flag football tournament. There'll be a children's corner with many activities. There'll be an education corner, where you can learn some things. And also the things that took place throughout the week will be translated at this event so everyone will see. Because those events throughout the week are more invitation only, smaller, intimate events to have conversations that may be difficult. And we have Midnight Mimosa performing at 5 o'clock until 6 o'clock. And that's going to wrap up the entire celebration.
That sounds like a great day. The Art Leadership Center works with young people. Why is it important for young people to be involved in the Macknificent Freedom Fest?
The Macknificent Freedom Fest, the Leadership Center, we share the same mission. Not only do we want to connect leaders and organizations that have a collective approach to community welfare, but we want to develop the Renaissance leader that does that actual function. And so it's really important for the children to be involved, not only to perform, not only to volunteer. The ALC student leaders are serving as vice chairs within the Macknificent Freedom Fest committee. The children leading by example teaches us adults, and so I get to learn from them, and so does the rest of the committee. And when they go out into the community can learn from them as well. And so not only for the children that are part of the Art Leadership Center, but for the general public and the masses of the children, we want to expose them to as many things as we possibly can. And we want to open up doors and opportunities for them. And so, the children are ultimately what the Leadership Center, the Macknificent Freedom Fest, and the Art Center, that is who we serve. And so without them, we have nothing. So in other words, the mission is to develop the Renaissance leader through all of our efforts, because that is ultimately what's going to make the world a better place beyond this one event, one time a year.
Mr. Curry, thank you so much for your example of servant leadership and for speaking with us today.
Thank you so much, Ms. Thanks for having me.